This next award recognizes producer Madeleine May and reporter Alexis Johnson for their Vice News stories, airing death threats to poll workers and calling back the people who made those threats. Judges said they did a compelling and courageous job uncovering the ugly and tragic human consequences of disinformation. Following up with law enforcement, the team found no investigations of those who made the calls, almost zero consequences. But Johnson called many back herself. When she reached them, the callers were remorseless, justifying their behavior as patriotic. Judges marveled at Johnson's unflappable, courteous probing. "I don't think I could have done what she did," one said. I think that was me who said that, anyway. And applauded Vice News for airing the calls. Let's watch.
The president just tweeted about you. Not long after the former president tweeted at me, I received the first specific threat. "You lied. You're a traitor. Perhaps cuts and bullets will soon arrive," gave my address. Mentions my wife by name, mentions my kids by name, including my daughter by her nickname. "Rhino stole election. We steal lives. Q." I spoke to my wife a little bit after that. She had begun receiving threats on her work email. So she then took our kids and relocated away from our house. After that, some days later, there was another email message. The subject line are the names of my children. And I'm not comfortable reading the rest of it.
So this person called from Indiana and left this voicemail.
"Either you're blind or you're crooked as so figure it out, buddy, because which side you going to be on when the shoot starts, brother?"
Hi, my name is Alexis Johnson. I'm a reporter with Vice News. I'm recording this phone call. Can I ask you a question?
You know?
Why,
What's that?
What made you call into Georgia? Are you a Georgia resident?
Well,
What made you call in?
I was watching One American News, and they put his phone number on there, and they said, "Give the man a call."
What did you mean when you said, figure out what side you're going to be on when the shooting starts?
Because what do you see coming? You know what happens when they defund the police?
So when you said when the shooting starts, you didn't mean as a direct threat to the people that work here.
See, that's exactly where you're going, and I figured they just no.
No. I just wanted to clear it up because I mean those were the words, and that's how some of the people that work here were taking that threat. They were pretty fearful.
Well, when you got people saying it's time to take the police off of the street, what choice do you have at that point?
Looking back, do you regret that at all?
No, I stand behind what I said. Ultimately, if you can sit right now in this country today and say that all of that was legal, that was the most secure, I mean, I don't know. I watch One American News. It's on in the background as we speak. I was never really a Trump supporter, but ultimately, they've turned me into one.
Mr. Risner, is it?
That's Reisner.
Mr. Reisner, I'm so sorry. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Accepting the award, Madeleine May, Alexis Johnson, and Vice News Washington Bureau Chief Sebastian Walker.
Hello. I hate public speaking. Okay, thank you to the Norman Lear Center and the USC Annenberg School for this recognition. Thanks also to the Vice News DC team. That includes our Bureau Chief, Seb Walker, Brian Wheeler, Todd Zwillick, Ayanna Brickhouse, also our executives, Maral Yousefi, Nikki Egan, and Sabrata Day. I also want to thank our team that made this piece possible. That's our camera ops, Ben Bishop and Zach Wood, our editor, Nelson Ryland, and our writer, Neda Tulumi Samani. Vice is an incredible and unique platform for stories of consequence, and I'm so grateful to be part of the team that believes deeply in reporting like this. So election workers are at the center of this story, and I'm humbled that those individuals let us into their lives in this extremely vulnerable moment. Richard Barron of Fulton County, Deidre Holding of Paulding County, Al Schmidt of Philadelphia, and Roxana Morwitz of Cedar Rapids, these are the bureaucrats who work tirelessly to defend our democracy. I wanted to share with you all that the election workers featured in our reporting, of the 5 that we spoke to, 4 are no longer working in our elections. That includes Rick Barron of Fulton County, who I actually talked to on the phone today. I'd like to share some of his reflections. Barron resigned shortly after the 2020 elections, in part because of the strain of the threats made against him. He described having symptoms of PTSD, and his daughter was in a constant state of stress. Since that time, he has struggled to find work. He drives Uber, and he is still unemployed. He's been specifically rejected from other elections-related work because he's seen as a political liability by Republicans and Democrats. Barron said that he started in elections to safeguard against democracy, or safeguard for democracy, and improve access to early voting in Georgia. His motivating thought, which he wanted me to share with you, is by Horace Mann, which is, "Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity." Unfortunately, because of the death threats, the calculated right-wing media conspiracy against him, and pressure from politicians, he is unable to continue in that work, which is his passion. He told me, "I don't want to sound like a victim, but sometimes I feel like my life is ruined by the 2020 election." Losing people like Barron in our elections because of political harassment is a real and ongoing threat to our country. I'm accepting this recognition on behalf of Barron and other election workers who protected all of us 3 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you so much to USC Annenberg, the Norman Lear Center, the judges that called me unflappable might be the best compliment I've ever received. I think I'm gonna get it tattooed, unflappable. I love that. Madeleine named a lot of our executive producers, Nikki Egan, Maral Yousefi, our our executive vice president of news, Sabrata D. I want to thank our DC Bureau once again, our Bureau Chief, Seb Walker, our Deputy Bureau Chief, Todd Zwillick, our seniors, Brian Wheeler, Iona Brickhouse, for challenging us and really shaping our editorial coverage over the last 2 to 3 years that focused on assaults on democracy, which we branded Breaking the Vote. Our writer on this piece, Neda Tuli-Samani, our editor, Nelson Ryland, Zach Wood, who's here with us today, our director of photography, and Ben Bishop, who's in California probably surfing at the moment. I also want to thank my parents, of course, because I think if they figured out how to use this live stream link, I'm probably as proud of them as they are of me right now. So hi, Mom. If you've done it, you go, girl. My partner here, Jalen, is here to support me as well. And I want to thank my producer, Madeleine May, who personally asked me to work on this project based off reporting she had already done. A year before the January 6th committee hearings put election workers like Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman in the national spotlight, Madeleine was giving voice to election workers in Fulton County and some of those areas that she named, like Rick Barron. They were experiencing threats to their lives, their families' lives, immediately after the 2020 election. So when she asked me to contact some of the people who left those threats, which was totally her idea, by the way, I was like, sure. And then she said, okay, well, we're gonna do it all on camera. And I was like, oh, well, okay. All right, I think we can do that. I have to admit, I was obviously nervous, as unflappable as I came off. I had no idea what to expect. But when we found out that the police had not contacted most of those people that made those threats, let alone investigated any of the threats that had drove Rick Barron out of his home, I knew we had an opportunity to do some real reporting. What we found was that disinformation has seeped so far into the fabric of our politics, and other media outlets, as you heard, acted as direct sources of that disinformation, that folks who asked Rick Barron, which side are you gonna be on when the shooting starts, felt completely justified. As difficult and shocking as this story was to tell, I was proud to give our audience just a small glimpse into the psyche of these people who believed it was their patriotic duty to intimidate the innocent people who literally make our democracy run. And I hope it made our viewers realize how fragile democracy is at this very moment. Thank you.